Proud to Finidi's resignation after a poor run of games in the 2026 World Cup qualifiers, expectations were high among sport lovers as they said the messiah that will help redeem the lost glory of Super Eagles to fly has finally come. But in a recent development, following the poor performance of the Nigerian team in the 2 games under Judge, there were several calls from the fans for his sack. The same people who chanted Hosanna started calling for his crucifixion. The question is, what happened to the Messiah?
There's a lot of politicking that is going on within the Football Federation. So one thing is very, very clear. What is the competence, the level of competence and capacity of Finidi George before he was hired by the NFF? These are things we need to look at. And now there were some insinuations that there's a lot of politics going on within the federation and that most of the players belong to big men. So you find out that when a coach is hired and some of these big stars sees that his former appointment was with Enyimba Football Club, and you find out that most of these stars who play at the international scene will definitely not have that respect for a coach who is coming from the local league.
A lot of Nigerians were expecting too many things from Finidi, but refused to give him the opportunity to work, because when you bring in a coach, give him time to work. That time wasn't granted to Finidi, and he was trying to make changes in the team to suit his play style, and Nigerians could not give him that time because they were expecting too much. Yes, as a coach, you have your tactics and you have players you want to use. So you will not use all players because they are good players internationally. If players don't respect the coach can't work.
If you look at his antecedent in football, numbers of trophies he has won, you will feel, oh yes, he's trained other big coaches, big-time coach in the world, he played for big-time clubs. Well, but to transit from player to coach, it's not a sudden thing. Name many coaches in the world. You see them, they understudy some coaches. They go from under age competitions to under 17, under 20. Then they will be ready for the big stage. But when you just bring somebody because you love him, I love him as a person too. Thank God I'm not a woman. You just bring somebody because he's a Nigerian and a genius coach. Good. You throw him to the big stage, that's what will happen. In coaching, it is iron fire. Once you don't produce the results, your job is as good as done. And then you are as good as your last result.
The NFF is not consulting the foreign players about the Finidi appointment. If you see the first starting, you see the relationship between Finidi and the foreign players is not more cordial as we were expected.
I mean, when you say a coach resigns after 2 matches, nobody wants to resign after 2 matches because I'm sure he wants to prove his mettle. But I'm sure maybe he's been asked to resign, and that's why he resigned. The pressure of the game.
Faced with the possibility of missing out on another World Cup after the failure of Qatar 2022, the NFF and the sport minister had an emergency meeting with George after the South Africa and Benin Republic games. After the meeting, the decision to hire an expatriate technical advisor for the Super Eagles came up. According to the embattled Finidi George, the issue of foreign coach did not come up at the meeting. Sport enthusiasts in their reaction said what NFF should have done was to instill some level of discipline, especially among the foreign players.
So what NFL would have done is to have instilled a level of discipline. When the coach says that some players don't come to camp on time, there should be some level of discipline. In the past, we have brought a lot of players from the local league to be integrated into the national team. And when that was being done at the national level, you find that there was serious competition. And this competition enabled that those big boys will come to camp on time. because the national team is not a respecter of persons. But since we started doing this mediocrity, I belong to a big man, and once the big man makes a phone call, the coach is bound to comply. That is why the national team is suffering. So what we need to do, Finidi has resigned. As far as I'm concerned, there's no need calling him back. NFF should look inwards. We have some competent coaches of Nigerian descent. This one they're talking about technical advisor. I do not succumb to that. You know why I don't succumb to that? It is the angle to corruption. What they are now saying is that they want to bring in the angle that the indigenous coaches are not capable. And by the time they bring in the technical advisor, we don't even know the terms of contract, how much money in dollars that will be paid. And that is where they siphon the federation's money. So we are going to resist it.
It's not the best way, but I think that Africa should be able to give their own the opportunities they deserve to grow their own. We are not giving those opportunities. That is why we judge our own more than we judge outside coaches. If he was an outside coach, they will not mount this much pressure on him. But because he's an internal person or in Nigeria, and that is why Nigerians are putting him under much pressure.
I think what the NFF needs to do is to, clear their house and then know what is best for the team. Even if it's to talk to the players, the key players like Boniface, Osimhen, Ian Acho, talk to them, ask them their opinions, I'm sure the guys can rally around and try and make the group, because I think we have a pretty much easy group. I think we can qualify.
I don't know whether this abroad thing is getting to our head that we are no longer, patriotic when it comes to our matches. So I think, like I said, the bottom line is indiscipline. The NFF should rise up and address the situation. If it is still the same issue of appointing foreign coaches or someone coercing other people to dance to his choice and all that, then we'll continue having these problems.
Recall that the friendly victory against Ghana ended up being the only victory recorded by George in his 4 games while in charge of the Super Eagles. He recorded 2 losses against Mali and the Benin Republic and 1 draw against South Africa.